Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Barefoot Conversations with Magdalene. How have you been? It's been 2 weeks now because we're coming on every fortnight. So how have you been? How are things with you? I hope everything is going great. Today's topic is called Reality Check. There are several reality programs on air right now, and this has been going on for well over 10 years now. And when I watch, I don't always watch them, but some of them I just kind of glimpse them and see what's happening. And I begin to wonder to myself, what version of reality is this? Or whose version of reality is this? Because the thing about it is what you see, what the eye sees, the eyes begins to form, that image that is taken in by the eyes begin to form in the mind of the individual. And it begins to form in the mind of that individual, whether a good thing, whether a positive thing or negative thing, it then somehow begins to take hold of that individual and somehow begins to mold itself within the individual. And it becomes part and parcel of that individual. And it then begins to form that individual's reality. So my question is, a reality check. When was the last time you really sat down and had a real good talk with yourself? Not with anybody else, but with yourself. To really have a proper reality check within yourself. Because when we watch all these reality programs that are supposedly real life, based on real life, I begin to wonder. I understand that there's certain things that definitely happens in real life. But then there's certain things that are placed on there as a play because it is TV, it is entertainment, and they need to entertain you some way or the other. So certain things are put there to entertain you, to entice you, to keep watching. But when does that line cross? When do we cross that line? When it's no longer reality, but it now becomes fabricated. And we then get lost in that fabrication of life. And we don't know how to come back to our own version, our own reality, not just the version, but the actual reality of life. I'll give you an example. When someone knows that he or she doesn't have the means to live an elaborate life, but because of the facts, they have started out and people see them as someone that's very lavish, they live a very lavish lifestyle. They can't stop. They have to keep putting up appearance in order to please people out there. When do we get to that place of saying, you know what, I can't continue like this. This is not who I really am. And unfortunately, many people are suffering as a result of this false impression that we give to people. My thing today is about reality check, really taking time out to say, you know what, who am I? Is this really who I am? Is this really who I am? Or am I trying to put on a new persona just because I want to fit in? But then my next question is, as adults, surely we should have left that whole playground scenario many years ago. When we're in school, wanting to fit in, wanting to carry a false image of ourselves because we want to impress our friends. Surely we would have paused that stage and we've come to a place in our lives that we're able to be comfortable within our skin. So who really are you? When was the last time you had a proper reality check to find out who you are, where you're going to, and what you've done, where you've come from, and where you're intending to go to? I must say, I got caught up in that whole bubble, that whole fake bubble at one point in my life. But then I found myself struggling. Why was I struggling? Because I found when I finally got to a place that I had to come and do a real reality check with myself and give myself a real thorough MOT as you would do your car. I found that I said to myself, this is not you. Why are you struggling? This is not who you're supposed, this is not you. This is not what you're supposed to be doing. But it took me a long time. Because just like the wind blows from different corners, we don't know where the wind blows. All we see is the debris that follows when the wind is blowing. And it goes left, right, and center. And that's what I was doing. That's what was happening to me. I was going left, right, and center, just flowing with the wind. But all along, I was struggling inside because I was like, this is not me. But the question is, how do we get to that point? We have an image of where we would like to be. But along the way, somehow, we get lost on the journey On that journey of discovery, we get lost because we see that this is what everybody else is doing. Then we automatically assume that we must be doing the same thing. It's time for a reality check. Because how can we train our children and say to our children, this is what you're supposed to be doing, when we as the adults are confused, we don't even know where we're going to? How do we understand and know what our purpose is when we lack knowledge of what it is we're doing and what it is we're supposed to be doing? You can't say you're living a purposeful life when you're still living in a bubble of reality television. I'm not knocking reality television. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm saying is that when you look at what is supposedly reality and really take time to watch some of these reality programs, you find that some of them, obviously, some certain things have been placed in there in order to entertain you as the viewer, to keep you coming back for more. But when we come away, when we detach ourselves from that false sense of reality and actually look inwards and see who we are and check what are we doing in our lives, we find that that actually is not our reality. That's not our version of reality. Your version of reality, my version of reality is totally different. My version of reality is it's an early start. You need to wake up early, get yourself prepared, get the kids prepared, go to school, drop them off at school, run the business that you're running, and ensure things are ticking along. I can't then come, wake up early, sit down and get the phone and start to do all manner of selfies. Yes, you can do that if you've got the time. But then I'm portraying some form of false image. This is me, all is well, when actually all is not well. Because social media, it's a wonderful tool. It's a wonderful tool. I love it for business. But it has become so, it's become so magnified in such a way that we get lost inside of it. And if we're not careful, we may not come back to the right path that we're supposed to be on. I remember last week, I love watching films. I love it, love it, love it. Last week I was watching a film and this really caught my attention. It's 3 siblings living in they're living in a shanty town, in a very run-down part of the city, because they were poor, they had no money, nobody was working. One of them, the guy, he was an aspiring musician. So every night he goes out to the clubs and he sings, he's always writing songs. And so whatever money, every little money that he makes from there, he uses it to go back into the studio to try to produce, obviously, new material. And that was what he was doing, but it's never enough to to pay the rent and, to buy food in the house. They were always struggling. That's the guy's story. The lady, one of his sisters, so it's him and 2 sisters, one of his other sisters would wake up in the morning, get to a decent enough spot in the house or outside and begin to take selfies, just taking selfies because she felt that she was a model. And so she would be taking selfies. And I remember the middle sister now was very angry. She said, what nonsense is this? One is deceived, in her words, one is deceiving himself that he's a musician. And the other one's deceiving herself that she's a model when we're living in a shanty town. So you're putting up all this falseness out there, making people feel that, yes, your life is wonderful. But the reality is, this is her words, look at where we live, look around us. So as I watched that film and so many other things began to progress from that film, I began to think about it, especially with this topic of today. Are we living in reality when we do such things? But outside of everything, outside of those selfies, outside of those smiles, outside of those personas that we have on the stage, when we come off that place, and we go home and we go to our own natural environment and things are contrary to what we've presented to the world, are we living in a reality world or are we living in reality? That's a question I want us to think about, because many people can argue and say, you know what? We are creating our reality in as much as we are not seeing it yet. We are believing and acting it and speaking it into being. Definitely, I'm all for that. So we're speaking it into being, even though we're living in the midst of ugliness. But what we would love to live in is in the midst of beauty. But we are creating that beauty, even if it's just laying one brick at a time, we're creating that beauty and never losing track of where it is we're trying to get to. Again, I love that. But today's show is really about those who get lost in that. Who get lost in that and begin to live a life that they can't maintain. Because they have so many social media followers and they feel that they need to keep pleasing those people, whilst all the time inside they're living in turmoil because of the fact that they can't continue to live a life, but they just can't tell the world that actually this is not who I really am. Why is that? And unfortunately, the young people, I did an article a couple of weeks ago about young people being as sponges. They're absorbing and absorbing and absorbing. They're seeing all this falseness and they feel that this is reality. This is how I'm supposed to live. When you look at images of celebrities who are photoshopped and they look so perfect, every inch of them is nicely laid out. They look so perfect. They have no blemish, no wrinkles, no spot, nothing. And you see young people who want to be like that. So when they have one little spot in their face, they almost want to peel out their skin because of that, because they see those images and they become body conscious. When we don't portray the real thing, when we're not telling the world what it is, the reality of what life is. It's not easy trying to achieve your goal. It is not easy. So don't let anybody tell you that it's easy. It's not easy aspiring to become something. You have this image of who you want to become in life and you're aspiring to become that person. But along the lines, you are struggling. Along the lines, you are falling down. It is not easy. So don't be deceived by anybody. A reality check must take place within the individual for him or her to know that along this journey that we call life, we are going to face several hurdles. We are going to face several disappointments and rejections. But the thing is, when you are determined, persistent, and consistent, you will eventually get to that place of where that place may be. It takes time. It's only a matter of time. Don't be deceived by many people that you see on social media or celebrities who you feel that, oh my God, everything is okay with them. They are living the life that I want to live. They are jet setting all around the world, and I want to be there. Do not be deceived. You don't know what's happening. People do things for several reasons, but everybody is trying to portray an image. Remember, it's an image of greatness, an image that all is well. Don't get caught up in that, especially when you are still on that journey of discovery. I got caught up in it. Sometimes I still do. We are human beings, so we can't shy away from the reality of life. I got caught up in that bubble. Social media is such a powerful tool. It can pull you in if you are not careful. It can really pull you in and destroy you if you don't take your time and stand and say, you know what, hold up a minute. I can't continue with this. So the truth is, when that individual comes to his or her senses and say, you know what, I need to do a reality check on my life. Is this real? Is this who I really am? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Until you get to that place, you continue to live in that bubble of reality TV and believe that this is how you're supposed to be living. And you give a false image. You give a false representation to the world of who you are when you're not that person. When really and truly, even if it's just one person is waiting for you to come out and say, you know what, I really want to see the real you. I want to get to know the real you. That person is waiting to hear your real story. Sometimes we shy away from our story. Sometimes we shy away from the truth that, you know what, I'm struggling. I've not been able to pay my bills. Yes, we shy away from that. because we want to portray that image that all is well. We give ourselves all these great titles. Yes, I'm speaking from my own personal experience. All is not well all the time. We go through so many struggles. Last year was a difficult patch in my life. But what kept me going was the fact that I have got family. I've got God who is holding me. He's giving me life. For the fact He gives me life on a daily basis, tells me that it's not my time to go. It tells me that He still has a greater plan for me. So I have to pick up myself and keep going. There was one time last year, I just came back and I broke down and I cried because I was like, I'm fed up of this. I'm tired of this. I don't like where I'm living. I'm living in a situation that it's not pleasing. I'm moving around as a robot. I'm not living. I'm just moving around as a robot. And I can't continue. I broke down. Because I was fed up, because I was tired of living a lie, because I was tired of my situation, because I was tired that I needed a change. I didn't like where I was living in a place and I was being classed with a term that I said, this is not me. I can't be this. But all the while, I would show up and smile, but inside I was dying inside. But I needed to come to that place of breakdown. You know, sometimes you need to just come to that place of breakdown and say, you know what, let it all go. So I needed to come to that place of breakdown in order for me to release all those tensions within me and give myself a reality check before I could then pick myself up as the eagle bird and then begin to soar again. Because you know what happens with the eagle bird? It goes away. It takes itself away and then begins to unpluck all those dead weights. And that's what I needed to do. And then it comes back and it soars high. And that's what we all need to do. We should stop waiting and picking up words from people. Oh, he said this or she said that. They're trying to be like this. Stop it. And just be yourself. Give yourself a reality check. Stop trying to be followers of others because you feel that they can help you with this or that. Be your own helper for yourself, your number one helper. Help yourself first before reaching out to other people. Get yourself to a place that you may not be strong totally, but you're strong enough. Get yourself to that place and then begin to strive from there. Give yourself an MOT as you would do your car. A reality check. And ask yourself, especially on this last day of October, which says to us that by tomorrow, we've got just over a month left of this great year 2017. Look back to the year and ask yourself, have I been on track or have I gone off track? If you've gone off track, that's okay. It's a learning curve. You never lose in life. You never ever lose in life. You always learn. The best teacher in life is the lessons you learn along the way. So from January right now to October, the 31st of October, we've learned so many lessons. How have you been able to apply those lessons? A reality check. This is Magdalene Adenike, and I am an entrepreneur. I run 2 businesses. My first business, it's my youth organization, working with young people because they are our leaders of tomorrow. Ensuring that they are empowered, ensuring that they have a voice, that they are confident to become the great leaders that they are supposed to be. And the other one is for women who are struggling, who along the way, so many things happened. And now they have become the wife, the mother, the daughter, the sister, but they've forgotten themselves because so many things have happened along the way. Helping them to get their voices back, to discover or rediscover that which they lost along the way, so that they become the empowered woman, the empowered mother, the empowered sister, the empowered teacher to teach the next generation. Until next time, give yourself a reality check as we come to the end of this year. so that come 2018, you start the year with a bang and you continue as you need to go on. Have a great day. Bye for now.